Yeah, good afternoon, and thank you very much, Suzanne and Zakaria, and also Marcus, who just arrived, for inviting me here and giving me the opportunity to share with you my project. It's the last one today. I hope you're not as sleepy, and I hope you keep it up for next half an hour. It might be somehow interesting, I hope. What I wanted to say is, I'm an artist and curator. I'm based in London. I worked in the University of Leeds, which is about 2 hours away, like Berlin and here, sort of, the distance. Is it 2 hours between here and Berlin?
No.
No, sorry.
Four,
Then
five,
forget it.
6.
Not a correct example. Apologies. I learned a lot since morning, and I hope it would be in some way as generous as yours, what I'm going to share. Like Susan said earlier, and Zakaria, we have some question time after this presentation. I have some coughing that might come up in the middle. Apologies. I've tried to take as much medicine as possible to not cough, but if it comes, that's part of the today. Today I'm going to talk with you about the creative woman in exile, Milli in Tehran, 1968 to 1974. Does any of you know Milli by any chance? I know that. Thank you. I usually work with archives, and I've been working with archives in Frankfurt, in Amsterdam, and Tehran, and also Stockholm mainly. And this presentation is looking at the neglected archive of German photographer Milli Bauer. In 1956, German photographer Milli Bauer decided to sell a valuable carpet after the death of her husband to buy a Volkswagen bus. She converted the bus into a camper van and set off on her road trip along the Silk Road. From Lebanon, she made her way through Syria, Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, India, Nepal, and finally to China. In February 2016, the Weltkultur Museum in Frankfurt received extensive image and archive material from the Milli estate. Many boxes of slides, prints, negatives, and film reels, as well as about 3,200 photographic objects and documents arrived from Bauer's home in Darmstadt. Bauer amassed a truly startling collection during her road trip, and I'm anxious to explore and analyze it in its entirety. Bauer's work is more relevant than ever today, given the current attention to gender equality and discrimination across the globe, and the diverse deserves to be showcased as to wider audience as possible. It could also potentially fit in with the Woman at Work project and the International Institute of Social History in Amsterdam. So these are the cities that I named today, a couple of them which were referred to since morning in a different perspective. But in this presentation, I will focus on what Milli has gathered. Briefly, I'm going to show you a short video which is in your German language, so you might feel more at home with that.
You have to move. May I do it for you?
No?
No, it doesn't work. I think you have to wait. Yeah, now.
Now works. Oh,
Now,
brilliant.
Now. So here.
And then I need a larger screen.
Here?
Yeah. And sound.
Sound. Oh. That was not. Sorry for technical. So let me here. Right. No.
Die Seidenstraße entlang gereist mit einem VW-Bus. Allein von Beirut aus mit dem Schiff bis nach Peking.
Start again.
Please.
No. That's it. You open Psychology.
Kennt sie, seitdem ich auf der Welt bin. Also meine Idee ist, Milli ist in den 50er Jahren alleine
Do you hear?
die Seidenstraße entlang gereist.
Sorry.
Allein von Beirut aus mit dem Schiff bis nach Milli. Die Unabhängigkeit, so eine Unternehmung zu machen, die Unabhängigkeit, mit sehr wenig Geld zu leben, die Unabhängigkeit alleine zu leben, mit so einem fahrbaren Gehäuse, auf so eine lange Zeit und auch auf eine unbestimmte Zeit. Aber ihr Output ist so groß, ihr habt ein Bildarchiv von 15.000 Bildern hinterlassen, unter dem ich immer stand als kleines Mädchen und habe geguckt und dachte, wow, was sind das für Länder? Als ich gerade lesen konnte, ich habe immer gelesen, Iran, Afghanistan, Bolivien, das stand auf den Rollerkästen. Haben wir eben überlegt, dass wir diesen Film machen und eigentlich geht es darum, also auf ihren Spuren, dass wir einen Teil der Seidenstraße rückwärts fahren.
Ja.
Das ist jetzt so das Projekt, was kommt.
Alle 2-3 Minuten,
Ja.
wir sind im Sommer drauf gesichtet.
Ah.
Die Zeit, wo du auch durch
Brilliant, thank you so much, Zakaria. This is the image of the archive. The shelves in the Weltkotte Museum is in central Frankfurt. I think we are about very close to that place at the moment. No? Yeah. What is particularly interesting is that in restricted societies, Bao found herself as a woman herself. She was able to get closer to other women and captured moments that men might not have been able to capture in her journey. This is why her work...
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Pippi Langstrumpf. So how I... yeah,
It's
that's...
a very, you don't know this film?
No.
It's a very popular
Yeah.
film for kids.
Oh, shall we watch that then? No.
After dinner.
After that. Can't wait.
It's okay.
Yeah, brilliant. This is why her work stands out so much from that of her male predecessors who had gone on familiar trips. As Alice Pavlik, Weltkotte Museum archivist, notes, there are many photographs of women in various work, family and social situations. For example, young women wearing bikinis on Iranian beaches in the 1960s, something one would never see in today's Iran photos, and women soldiers conducting military exercise in Pakistan, among others. I came across this archive in 2013. There was a project called Scharfblick, apologies for the German pronunciation, Objects of Desire in Ethnographic Collections. Weltkotte Museum had a different director back then. It was Clementine de Leeds. Any of you know of her? No, yes, yes. She's very well known in Britain, and in one of her visits, she invited four of us from the university I was back in, Royal College of Art, to come to a museum and conduct some sort of a field work. And as part of that project, we spent about 3 weeks inside the museum, and it was very generous. We could stay on the 3rd floor of the building, and we had 24 hours access to the basement. As many of you have experienced within archives, not every museum have the budget to digitalize everything. So she took us there, and I said, okay, where is Iran section? And she just showed me a room with boxes and said, this is yours, find it. And well, it was beautiful in a way, scary at the same time, because it was boxes that I had to go through to find what could be Iran. And accidentally I found Milli work. As part of that project, we conducted, it should be some photos from that. We conducted an exhibition there, which was called the same title, and it could be found here, I would imagine. I can send you a link later. It might be a bit difficult to go back. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. So that was the exhibition. As part of the museum, they had this green room, which was sort of as a form of theater rehearsal space. It was not in the main museum exhibition space, but in the building that our apartment was located, which is on the side. And so we could do our research and then display there to have a private view and exhibition for a short temporary time. And then it would be, by then we could develop in 6 months a larger project which would be exhibited in the main gallery of the museum. That was the process we went through. And if you're interested, you could just Google this name, title, and I think you would be able to read about it. And there are some photos of the exhibition if you're interested. And I hope I can go back to, yes, to there. The reason I work on Milli project at the moment is because it provides essential input to the development of my broader research focus on the contemporary context of double agency and the formation of diaspora in artistic practice. I found the material on Bao a remarkable documentation of the socio-political condition of Iran, captured from the eyes of an outsider, as if a foreigner living in Tehran, in exile in Iran. It was also a revelation for me in that it offered a fascinating feminist account of women travelers, as remarkably, Bao had gone on a solo trip across a highly conservative and male-dominated region, the Middle East within the 1960s, as you would imagine. The material I was able to explore at the time was just the tip of the iceberg, though. Bao's archive, consisting of photographs, notes, journals, has since been moved from Darmstadt to the Waldkotten Museum completely. So here you see some on the left side. I can't read the German notes, but on top says Baghdad, and it's pile of those notebooks which she has gathered. It's sort of her Wikipedia. When I had a German translator with me going through the archive last year, November, she was telling me that it says their religion is like this, don't do these activities, these gestures means like that. So things that when we go somewhere today, we check on Wikipedia sort of to begin with, what is that place or what we should be expecting. And she had gathered that herself. So quite a well thought trip she had planned. On the right side, you see contact sheets. It's a pile of contact sheets there, which I'm hoping that we could be able to get some funding to digitalize those, to find somebody to tell us what is this about or why she was interested in certain topics to be photographed. The other one is, same. Every city that she has planned to go, it had this sort of Wikipedia notion to it, a detailed journey of what she could be expected there, where she should visit, what keywords are, what religious is being sort of practiced. There are many of her ID cards there, which I found fascinating. Like some of them are for her professional practice, some of them are certificates that she had to work in Tehran with, which in a way, when there is a the plan is to have a few years research with a group, and which 2 of them are here at the moment, and if we get the funding, and then to showcase some of this work as original documentation, and of course create some reflection within moving image or other form of artistic practice to respond to the archive. Some of the materials are many things are not catalogued or categorized. I can only go with guessing and observing, and with limited budget of having German translators with me. So these are quite a preliminary research. The context sheets, as you can see, there's some numbering going on around for her own format of category, but it's not in the standard of archival practice. So it's quite complicated to figure out why she addressed these in this manner. This is one format, and then there is these ones. By studying this, I realized that there are very few categories that she's been working on in her practice, and I will share with you in a minute. So in the pile of the archives that you saw, apologies, in the first images, I picked up Iran section to begin with. Apologies. During her journey through this Silk Road, she stayed a bit of a time in Tehran as a newspaper correspondent for the Welt, their newspaper. I'm so sorry about this.
Would you like something?
No. Thank you, though. Well, she didn't need to wear the veil, but I found that quite cute. She wearing that full cover veil, sort of on herself, and then the camera is standing out as if like a sort of, I don't know. But I am a woman wearing this, but I'm a photographer. I felt that, so I found that fascinating. There are some images of she with fascination of what she find there, and this is what I liked, so I captured this for you. But then there are many of them. She's by a landmark or landscape, or in a Persepolis. She take photo of herself or part of her body within the space she's belonged to. So personal is quite present in her practice. It's not just an anthropological viewpoint to what she sees, but also I am there. Look at me, as well as the material she finds. The other thing I found fascinating was, I met the lady who is making that film. She's actually her goddaughter, Julia Nourouzi. She actually married to an Iranian guy, but that's the only person really have met her for a long time before her death, and she has published a book about her. What she was telling me about was like in these photos you see she had this Volkswagen, but it was very controversial to travel on your own on those days. So she would, as Julian describes, she would serve lunch and she would put 2 plates on there and pretend that she's with somebody in the car, which she was not. So the whole journey she was playing as if she's 2, but she was quite alone, right? What I found very interesting was going through archive. I realized, wow, this is the categories I came up with. Her work across those cities she has traveled in Silk Road are categorized on holidays, ceremonies, women's at work, handcrafts, industry and road, royal family, sport and heritage. Within that spectrum, you would see that she has been invited to different occasions to capture things, and she had certain personal curiosity to go to certain places. I've selected a couple of images for you. This is the woman at work. As I said there slightly earlier, because she was a female being, so it was just very easy to just step into any female platform or a space. as you can see, indoor or outdoor, modern or old style tradition, it doesn't matter. It was not her job to go to like sort of tea field, but she has gone to, so as far as I could research, or you could see she has been sort of interested in the notion of a woman at work within the tradition of village workers, not only the city or Tehran as a space. The other thing, woman in the education, which was sort of quite new in Iran after the 1936 the Unveiling Act by Reza Shah, so it's quite diverse, her interest on approaching those. And of course, within this, she has written about each of them, so it's a different take on reading her note or just the photographs. Yeah, another woman at work, again, sort of, I just selected a couple of images that could give you the sort of a variety. I was fascinated by the image on the left side, which is Tehran, the School of Fine Art, Tehran University School of Fine Art. It's only 2 women in the room in that time, but I found that really fascinating. I studied in that school, same room, and when I found this, I found that quite connected to what was there. I'm out of the time, but I just go 2 more slides. I've written a little note, which, if that's okay, I will read it before the time finishes, which is already finished. Sorry about that. The strong wind is reaping havoc in the city. I've just remembered the washing is drying on the roof. I always enjoyed watching the clouds dancing in the wind, but it is so strong this time that everything around me is blowing wildly and out of control. I'm not sure if all my clothes will still be hanging on the line when I left them, or if some of them might have already been taken away by the wind. I put on my coat and run upstairs. There are lots of pegs on the line without anything attached to them. Yes, most of my clothes are gone, but there is one last piece, a blue garment, which is still fighting to hold on. This one was left behind for me. I try to reach the garment. I stretch my arms out. I stand on tiptoes to extend my reach, but it is too far. The wind had pulled it sharply to the edge of the roof. The peg could not hold it any longer, and it felt its smooth curves. It is as if the fabric is dancing in the air as it continues on its journey towards the ground. It is as if bubbles are forming below its surface and pushing upward, trying to escape. Bubbles of air, perhaps. These bubbles become waves, moving through the fabric, causing it to gently sway side to side. This scene is full of movement within the fabric itself and its descent towards the ground. I feel sad because I have lost my garment, but riveted by the dance in performance as it falls. The fall will end once the fabric touches the ground. How touches the ground? So gently, so elegantly and smoothly. My garment has been carried by the wind without resistance and trustful. I'm reminded of my childhood when my father would carry me asleep from the car to put me to bed, slowly and quietly, so as not to waken me up. He would lower my curled up body onto the bed. My bottom half would touch the mattress first. Then, as he released me fully to the mattress, he would extend my legs and I would lie flat on the bed in a straight line. I remember this vividly because I was never really asleep. I would pretend to be asleep to play this game we had where he could carry me to bed in his arms. The garment has reached the ground, like a sleeping girl who was delivered quietly and gently to her bed. This was a reflection I wrote when I first saw Milli work. It's sort of it refers to a memory of Iran that we can grasp on, and sort of many restrictions that some are left in prison for with no reason, and some have restriction to visit back home. It's quite metaphorical. I hope it had some connection for you, and I shall end here. Thank you.